Does take quite a bit of time, a couple of hours, and now when they're getting in South Carolina, that's where it ends. That's when we have our partial. At the same time that sort of this path across the United States ends in South Carolina around 2:46, 2:40. I think there's 2:48. We will be getting ours. So we're like, you're seeing. I mean, that's a considerable amount of the sun covered by the moon, with still 4 minutes to go.
Want to go to our Maku Ubaka? She's at a Girl Scout camp, Camp Cedar Hill in Waltham, as they continue to watch this all happen. Amaka, what's going on?
Well, Ryan and Kim, there's a lot of excitement out here. If you take a look behind me, you can see everybody's gotten the best seat in the house as they get ready for this partial eclipse. The peak happening in less than 5 minutes. You can see everyone has their special glasses on as they look up at the sky. About 135 people are here with their friends, family, kids, aging ranges from kindergarten all the way to 5th or 6th grade. A lot of excitement as this is happening. We're actually going to come over here and talk to a couple of people about how exactly exciting this is. How's it going there?
Great.
Take a little bit and tell us a little bit about how excited you are for all of this happening and what's the most exciting part about it.
Yeah, it's great. We came all the way here for the Girl Scout party, and we knew that this was going to be a really big event, so I took the day off, and we wanted to be able to view, so we made sure that we had some special glasses. We're excited.
Yeah, and I know you've been peeking at it every now and then. And what does it look like? Describe it for us.
It looks right now like a Halloween kind of a moon. It's kind of yellow. There's a little bit of cloud cover going over it. It looks kind of spooky through the glasses.
Yeah, and Nora, how's it going?
Good.
What do you think about all this excitement today?
It's just fun.
It's fun? Yeah. Have you been looking through the glasses? What are you seeing? You want to put them on for us?
Okay.
What are you seeing? You want to look up and tell us what you see?
It looks kind of like an upside-down crescent moon.
Upside-down crescent moon. Well, as you can see, everybody's getting very, very excited for this event. Again, if you take a live look out here, everybody is seated. They're getting ready as the countdown is on. A lot of them have spent the last 15 minutes or so looking up at the sky, seeing exactly the beauty of that shadow that's coming across the sun. So it's been really, really excited out here. A lot of excitement building. Of course, we'll continue to stay out here, and we'll have much more for you later on. Back to you guys.
All right, we're looking at some incredible images ourselves. This is South Carolina, where the path of totality ends. And just an incredible view. A lot of people there on the beach watching this. You're watching from the comfort of your home in the air conditioning, because they were complaining about the heat, but not about the view. And here in Boston, we have about 2 minutes. So down there in South Carolina, they are the last to get a total eclipse. Here in Boston, about 63% of the sun will be covered by the moon, and that happens in just a couple of minutes. So we won't have the total darkness that people like over in South Carolina. Look how dark that is, because they're a few minutes away from totality. And you can see it, day becomes night just for that couple of minutes with a total eclipse.
We are now less than a minute away from the partial eclipse, full peak here. I want to go up to our chief meteorologist, Jeremy Reiner. He's on a roof. And JR, this is the moment you've been waiting for.
Yes, this is it. I mean, Dr. Mandela is up here as well. What do you think, sir? What do you think about it so far?
Very good.
Yeah?
Yes.
And what are your initial observations?
Well, it's been a spectacular success in terms of the number of people who have seen the eclipse.
Right.
The meteorologists really delivered good weather across the country today.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes we get them right. Yeah, fantastic.
And some excellent data, I imagine, is taken from all of these sites, because the clarity of the atmosphere and the good weather conditions. And just the number of people, I think that's the number one result of this event.
Sure,
it's the extraordinary number of millions, maybe 100 million people actually spent some time today thinking about astronomy and the sun.
Well, thank you very much. I'll let you enjoy the show. You've certainly earned it. So we are here, we're on the roof. You can see there that through the filters, our camera filter, that we're pretty much coming up on I don't want to say totality, because it's not totality, but it's the max eclipse for us here in Boston, about 63, 64%. And you can see there that, that's the moon passing between the sun and the earth. And it's the sun now has that crescent shape that we so often see with our moon. And over on the right, as Dr. Mandela was referencing, look at the people in Waltham. Thankfully, they all have their safe filters on, and they're just observing just a natural phenomenon that may not get to see again happen. And that was really, I think, the great thing about this is that, you know, it wasn't just a sliver of the country or out over the ocean. It was right across North America, right across the United States. And so that totality, you know, stretching about close to 3,000 miles from coast to coast. We haven't seen that since 1918. The last total solar eclipse for the United States was 1979, but again, it was just a small sliver that encompassed that eclipse. And thankfully, here in New England, we don't have to wait 100 more years, because the next total solar eclipse for the United States is in 2024, April 8th, 2024. It's a Monday. And April, as you know, in New England can be finicky, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. But that path will slice up across out of Texas, I think western New York, and then head for Vermont, Maine, and northern New Hampshire. And on that day, Boston will be about 93%. Right there on your screen there on the left, that's about 63%. So there it is. We just passed, we're in max right now. Fantastic.
It sure is. You're watching here on the left-hand side of the screen. Well, you're watching Boston right now. We're in the middle of it here, our peak of the partial eclipse here in Boston. Amazing pictures to watch. Everyone with their phones up, their glasses on, enjoying this historic moment.
We heard the Girl Scout describe it perfectly.
Yeah.
It's sort of an upside down or sideways crescent moon. We don't usually see the sun in this position, but this is what the moon is doing, is it covers 63% of the sun. And there are other places in the country, obviously, who are getting total eclipse. People describe it, someone I really loved, they were describing that the feeling that they get when they watch it was very emotional. They believe that it promotes generosity and empathy. And as we have all kinds of sort of conflict that we feel like we've been reporting on for quite some time, and definitely lately in the news, this is something that everybody, I think, can agree on is just an incredible sight and sort of brings humanity together. Sort of simplifies things. And there you go, Charleston, South Carolina. They probably have the cloudiest view that we've seen all day, but I think that was more of a camera issue than a totally quick.
Right,
that was too fast. That
right.
was too fast. I think we just lost the image.
No, it's back
because
there.
it takes a while for the moon to make its magic by covering up the sun. But they're very close to, or maybe they already went through it actually on South Carolina. You think?
No, I think they're just
There's
Well,
Nashville.
this is Nashville, so they're...
See how long it lasts. Isn't that incredible? Same moon, giving this all these different shows.
On the left-hand side of your screen, you're looking here in Boston. It really is a perfect crescent. You know, it took about an hour and a half for it to kind of move into the area right there, and really was amazing to watch that happen as it really took over the sun here in Boston. And some of the clouds that move over there and some of the shadows we've seen. And here in Cambridge, you can see here people are out there with their cereal boxes, with their glasses, looking up, experiencing this moment. It does look a little like dusk out there. It doesn't feel like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It looks like dusk because, 63% of the sun covered up.
Yes, no, we had a really clear day. We were lucky to be able to experience this. We've had our professor in studio talking about the scientific aspect and also the emotional aspect, how rare this is, how fortunate we are to see it, and it's all science, the size and distance of the sun and the moon that makes this happen. And we've seen when there's a totality, the corona around the sun, something that we never get to see, but we've seen it over and over and over here on the news station because we have our cameras everywhere, and we've been able to experience a total eclipse many times today. And here's going to be sort of the last place that we see it is Charleston, South Carolina. They're getting very close to totality. Correct, Professor?
Yes, indeed. I just got down from your roof and experienced the joy of seeing 50% sun. So.
Yes.
And it's demonstrably cooler upstairs and outside. So it's you can tell that there's something happening with the sun that's unusual.
You can see and feel the difference.
You can
really.
feel the difference. That's right.
And talk about the emotional impact of this again. We talked at the beginning about that, just about how this kind of brings people together for this phenomenon.
Oh, it does in so many ways. I mean, physically bringing people together. I mean, even on the roof of your building, there are 50 people up there. Imagine in these places at the path of totality. And all in good spirits in comparison to the marches and counter-marches that we've heard in the news otherwise. It's nice to get people together for a joyous occasion, one linked to pure knowledge and the advancement of science and the advancement of the human race, really, to be able to collectively enjoy a celestial phenomenon, I think might be the lasting legacy of this event.
And the incredible force of nature. Nature is so much bigger than us.
Absolutely.
Definitely puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
we're certainly seeing that today.
We're looking live here. The left-hand side of your screen you saw in a moment here. We're going to zoom in here and show you exactly the moon here. If we're moving past our 63%, but it was a pretty cool shot here as you zoom in here. That crescent moon, Professor, as it looks like it's almost a perfect crescent.
It does, and that's surprising, I think, to a lot of people presently and in the past. You know, you could imagine wild speculation about somehow the moon is replacing the sun and what's going on here. And it's very different than a lunar eclipse, where the opposite happens, where the Earth's shadow envelops the entire moon. And so we see the moon disappear minute by minute over the course of a much longer amount of time. A lunar eclipse can last well over an hour, as opposed to the few minutes of a solar eclipse. But they're both wonderful treats of nature, and we're lucky to be able to observe them.
Yeah.
And to be able to observe them for 2 solid hours, as you're doing here in the in the room here today, is a special event.
Yeah, I've never seen this many solar eclipses. They say there's one every 99 years. I feel like we've seen 10 today, right?
Right.
Yes.
Watching the camera shots from across the country here, it's moved right across there, almost exactly on time as we watch our list here to move through. And it's about to move out now. The totality is about to end here. But Professor, sum up this feeling that everyone has here today.
Well, I think there's a feeling of accomplishment, even though we didn't do much to arrange the event that we're looking at. I mean, the accomplishment is to pause from a busy life. Productivity, I'm told, in America is down today because so many people are out looking at their eclipses or looking at their TV screens. And so it's a rare moment of unity across the country on an event that doesn't have a political aspect of any kind. It has a celebration of knowledge. And the fact that we're able to predict it in advance, it works exactly as predicted, and yet there's a joy city by city, town by town, whether or not they've got the best view, whether or not they had some clouds, whether or not the observations were successful. So I think I hadn't thought of it in the past as a country unifying event because we haven't had one that spanned the country in precisely the way this one did.
And you talked about there's a reduced work productivity today, but who knows what other kind of ways that this is creating productivity, you know, emotionally, just the camaraderie, the way we're looking sort of at our lives, at our universe. It's definitely one of a kind.
That's a new kind of productivity that I hadn't thought about. So you're absolutely right. It produces a new feeling among Americans across the country. Let's hope it lasts.
Would be nice.
Yes.
I want to go to Justin Bork. He's at the Boston Public Library where we just watched the 63% here, our partial eclipse go through. Justin, what was it like there? What was the reaction?
Well, guys, I'm in a small corner of this courtyard over here. The challenge with the courtyard is that there's a big wall over there, so everybody had to kind of cram in like sardines over here. But nobody really seems to mind. In fact, we have a lot of viewers using all manner of instruments to check out the eclipse. We're actually going to talk to a couple of them right now. I noticed you looking through one of these shoe boxes over here. Can you tell me what it's like, what the view's like?
Thanks to my best friend who made this one. You can see it's kind of hard to angle, but once you get that angle right, you can see right down into it. And there are a couple of reflections that allow you to see multiple little suns, which is very exciting. And you see the little shadow at the bottom of the box. It's very cool.
Are you getting the spectacular colors of the eclipse as part of that?
Maybe not all the colors, just that white light, but with the sunglasses, we got to borrow a couple of pairs, so we got to see a little bit more, but it's been pretty awesome.
And I noticed that. So the public library said they've only handed out about 100 glasses here today, but there's way more than 100 people here. Everybody looks like has been sharing. So how have you been getting your hands on some of these glasses?
No, it's been great. Everyone has been so kind, willing to share their glasses. People have been passing it around. We've been meeting tons of people. Everyone has been super friendly and willing to share, which has been fantastic.
I guess that's just as good as getting to see the sun itself. Thank you so much. It was great to meet you. And we have actually a few people looking at the sun right over here right now. Can you just tell me while you're looking at the sun, just describe this view for me right now?
It's actually pretty amazing because we've been here a couple hours, so it's like looking at the moon like when it's waxing and waning, but you're looking at the sun and how it's transforming with the moon in the way, and it's phenomenal.
How does it meet your expectations for this day?
It's pretty damn cool. It's not like anything I've ever seen before, so yeah, it's pretty amazing. And it's awesome to be with other people that have never experienced this before.
That's as great an explanation as I've ever heard. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, this has obviously been a big day over here at the courtyard of the Boston Public Library. In fact, talking to staff here, this greatly exceeded any of their expectations. Again, they handed out about 100 pairs of glasses here, about 1,000 throughout the week. So they have been supplying people a lot over here. And of course, what better place to watch it than a place where you're surrounded by literature dedicated to things like this Eclipse right here. So obviously a huge crowd. People have been just enjoying it a lot over here, sharing. We saw a lot of those cereal boxes and shoebox contraptions, and of course a lot of people just passing around the glasses over here. So it looks like the real peak of it has ended. We actually heard a little bit of applause around 2:45 when the eclipse was really at its peak. We got a look at it earlier. It's about 30% covered the sun, but the color is obviously just brilliant over here. So we're going to be here throughout the rest of the day. A few people are leaving, but a lot of people are still just here enjoying what's left of this eclipse, this incredible phenomenon. So we'll be sure to report whatever we see throughout the day. For now, we're live at the Boston Public Library. Justin Bork, 7 News.
Yes, very nice, Justin. You can feel the love.
I was just going to say.
The sharing and the positivity.
All the smiles. I mean, this is nice. This is good news to report. So this has been fun.
Coming together for something very lovely and very rare. And here, look at the sky. Still in Boston. The show's not over for us. A little bit more. We've gone through prime time at 2:46, but now the moon is passing away from the sun, and soon we'll have our bright skies again. Bree Eggers can speak to the sunshine and the meteorology involved here today as she gathers with people who are enjoying this moment together at the Blue Hill Observatory in Milton. Bree.
Right, Kim. They have every tool that would monitor every aspect of the weather here. This is really where they focus on meteorology rather than astronomy. But still, this has been a fantastic party here. And I was asking them earlier, the experts here, when we were up on the observation deck, if in totality, the temperature was expected to drop to as much as 10 degrees and almost look like a nighttime sky. Of course, here in Boston, we only had 63% of obstruction by the moon in front of the sun when we were at our peak, and they said that they've been watching the temperature and they think maybe it dropped by about a half a degree, but they're going to go back through all of their records at the end of the day to see exactly what the effect was on our weather as we made it through this solar eclipse. But it's been a fantastic party out here. I'd say about 60, 70 people. It was a sold-out event, mainly members of the Blue Hill Observatory. And Charlie and Ann here are my new friends, and I have to ask you guys, so what was this like for you?
Wow, it was incredible. Fantastic. It was a wonderful experience. I was overwhelmed almost by it, yeah. So
it was fantastic.
And my wife heard about this coming up here, and so we just the other day, and we made the plan and came up. It was terrific.
Did you have to prepare in advance to get the glasses in hand? And I mean, how long have you just heard about it maybe a week ago, or how long did you have to prepare for it?
Well, we heard about the event up here just last week, and my wife did, and we just prepared, just got ourselves together early, and had some early breakfast, and came up, and they had the glasses and all the equipment and little snacks. It was wonderful.
They had prepared everything for us. You know, we have got a membership, and they prepared and put everything together for us.
And you loved it. Still enjoying it too. We get to do the back half of it. We just made it through peak, but we've got at least another hour to enjoy. How was it, everybody? It's good? It's good? Yes. See, well, I mean, it didn't do much for the temperature, but it did a lot for the mood and morale here because we're all having a good time. And the weather, fantastic. You know, we've been talking a lot about it. The next time that we have an eclipse, a path of totality that actually travels through northern New England, and that'll happen April 8th of 2024. But you know, weather in New England in April, it's pretty tricky to put a long-range forecast together for that. So we're going to continue to enjoy today, just some high, mid-level clouds that pass by from time to time. And when you have your glasses on, it looks almost like an eerie smoke covering up that eclipse. It's just really an incredible sight to see, something that I'm sure we'll never forget.
All right, thank you, Bree. Yes, I've been hearing from a lot of eclipse chasers, people who plan a decade in advance for this sort of thing, and having watched them and having seen the images live on television, it's definitely something we might all think about is chasing the next one, which is Bree mentioned, April 8th, 2024. So who knows if we'll have an April nor'easter 7 years away, no one knows, but Maine will get totality. It goes from Texas to Maine. Maybe some of New Hampshire, and I believe Boston will get near totality. But our professor was saying, I mean, if it's going to be that close, I think we need to go all the way north because there's a big difference, correct?
Absolutely. It's a short trip in comparison to this one. And so it's definitely worth making the trip.
What's the difference between 90, 95, or full total?
The difference between 100% and any number less than that is remarkable. Wow. We don't think of it that way. You know, $1 or 99 cents, you say, well, what's the difference, right? Or $1 or 95 cents. But in this particular case, with even a few percent of the sun shining through, the sky is bright, at least fairly bright, as it would be at near sunset, but before sunset. You don't see stars. And so it's better to get within the path of totality. This is going to be good news for the inns and hotels in New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont. But I think we ought to make our plans soon.
Yeah, might do that. I mean, we get the fall foliage. You got to plan at least a year in advance for that. So 7 years probably isn't too soon.
Yes.
And look what a gorgeous sky that is live over Boston. And the moon now making its pass over and is exiting.
Yep.
Take a little bit longer. Show's not over. And here's Cambridge. I mean, we had a really bright sunny day today. Yeah. And it definitely, as we looked at the pictures of Government Center, very much similar, where you can just notice definitely there's an impact. Oh, it looks pretty sunny at the library. And actually, people's personalities, they were very sunny, too. Really happy to experience this together. Amaka Ubaka's with some sunny girls and their moms, Girl Scouts at Camp Cedar Hill in Waltham. Amaka? Do they go
Pam,
home?
there was a lot of excitement, a lot of oohs and ahs when all of this happened. If you take a look behind me, you can see now that a lot of kids are documenting their experiences. They're drawing exactly what they thought the solar eclipse looked like. You can see as people are holding up their signs. It really was a lot of excitement when all this happened. I was going to bring in Brenda, and I wanted to know kind of what was your take on what we saw just a couple of minutes ago?
Amazing to see how the small moon can block out a giant sun like that, and such a great opportunity here with the Girl Scouts to be able to have the kids experience it and learn it from people who know more than I do.
And I know you brought your daughter. Mm-hmm. What was her reaction seeing it? We talked to her a little while ago.
The oohs and ahs, like you just said, definitely. And I think a lot of surprise about the wind and the drop in temperature that they weren't really expecting. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Really a once-in-a-lifetime event, right?
I think so, yeah.
What's your reaction seeing all of these Girl Scouts here together to take in this moment? I mean, it really was special for all these kids that really have never seen anything like this before.
Exactly. Adults, I've never seen it before either. So being able to get together with the Girl Scouts who always promote learning and growing and all that sort of stuff is fantastic.
Thank you very much, Brenda.
Thank you.
If you take a look over here, you can still see people are taking pictures. They're really documenting this experience on social media. They're taking pictures with the glasses on as they hold up their signs. So all in all, a lot of excitement out here as all of this happened. Of course, we're going to stay out here for at least another hour, but right now it's pretty much wrapping up. They're doing some activities, but for the most part, they're just spending the last couple of minutes here taking pictures and just enjoying the nature out here. Back to you, Kim and Ryan.
And Amaka, I'm curious, when it was around 2:45, 2:46 there, describe what it was like out there for you. Could you feel the temperature drop a little bit? Could you notice it felt more like dust? Describe that for us.
You know, it was really beautiful. We were watching as everyone had their glasses on, and as they looked up at the sky, you could see it. And it did get a little chillier, but it wasn't too bad. If you take a look, a lot of people still have their glasses on now, but it really wasn't bad. Like I mentioned before, there were a lot of oohs and ahs, and people were just excited. One little girl described it like a little cookie that was eating the sun. So a lot of excitement out here. Again, this is something that none of these kids, even me, we've never experienced before. So all in all, it was an amazing sight out here. Back to you guys.
So, Amaka, I was a Girl Scout. I never got to see an eclipse with my troop, but we used to get those badges and the sashes. And do they even use those anymore? Do they get an eclipse badge today? You probably don't know the answer to that, but I'm thinking out loud.
No. No, we don't know about the badges, but what I will say is a lot of people here, they're taking home mementos. Like I mentioned before, they have these pictures. We'll actually take you over here. We can see these girls, they're really documenting exactly what this all looked like. Do you mind holding up your picture for us, what it looks like? And describe it for us? Wow, that's beautiful. What did you think?
I like it.
You like it, right? It was gorgeous, gorgeous. And you can see here another little girl, she's documenting exactly what all of this looked like. Can you describe just being here with your daughter and friends and family, what this is like?
It was exciting. I think it was, I thought it was really cool when it got dark and it actually got cooler and breezy, right, girls? Yeah, so we, but yeah.
Did you see that, did you feel that drop in temperature at all?
Yes, definitely. We definitely felt the drop in temperature. So, yeah, so it was really cool. Abby, anything else do you want to add?
And we will say, Kim and Ryan, just so you know, some people actually made their own way to look at the solar eclipse. Can you kind of describe exactly what this is and how it was made?
Abby, do you want to say how you made it? No. Okay. So she made this at her camp, but it's a solar viewer, and basically it's just a shoebox where she cut out a hole, put some tin foil in, and then it has a little tiny pinhole there so the sun shines through, and then you can look through here and actually see the sun with the with the shadow with the solar eclipse. So
wow. Very, very cool. So Kim and Ryan, there's a lot going on here. If you didn't have the glasses, they obviously found a way to watch the solar eclipse on their own. So a lot of excitement building. It's wrapping up right now, but people are documenting this on social media. They're taking pictures so that when they leave here today, they say it'll be an experience that they'll never forget. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Makubaka. Live, there were some Girl Scouts who watched history unfold there, and they will be getting ready for 2024.
Yes, there have been almost every library, I think, in our viewing area had sort of gathered, opened their doors to gather people to experience this together. And as we've said many times, it was 99 years was the last time since we've had this path of totality across the, from west to east in the country. So it's a day that we'll remember, special day. Could have got, we got a show. Some people got no show.
Right.
We got a 63% show.
We'll take it. Beautiful,
it was
sky,
free.
And it was great to watch. And along with the professor here, we'll be keeping a close eye on this. And so it's been a fun day.
I know. We're going to keep watching here just for a little bit longer. We're going to make sure this sun comes back. We have our eye on the eclipse, and the news station will continue in just a moment.
Why is 7 your news station?
Every morning I just turn on Channel 7 and watch the weather.
The traffic report tells me, do I want to take the train? Do I want to drive?
Wakes me up in the morning, tells me everything that I need to know and what's going on for the day.
I like to hear about what I may have missed during the day when I was at work.
I watch 7 News because it's on at 10, and I'm a teacher and I have to get up early in the morning.
It's always on from the moment I walk home until 11 o'clock at night.
At the end of the day, it's nice to sit down with familiar faces, hearing about the events of the day from a trusted team.
Why is 7 your news station?
I love 7 News because it's informative.
I've been watching 7 News my whole life. We trust the people that are sharing this news with us.
I turn to Channel 7 because they always have a reporter live on the scene.
I'd like to know what the traffic's going to be, what the weather's going to be. It helps me get through my day.
I get a good view of what's going on around Boston and the world.
Thank you, Channel 7.
Channel 7 is my news station. Thank you.
When you wake up with 7 News Today in New England, you'll get more.
More weather.
And these temperatures just keep climbing.
More traffic reports.
We're seeing some major backups on the expressway.
More hours of news every morning.
And more reporters that'll be bringing you the stories that you'll be talking about all day.
Plus, more coverage out of D.C., more investigations, and more stories that matter to you.
So come on, start your morning with us and get more.
7 News Today in New England, weekdays from 4:30 until 10 a.m.
Grab the family and get ready to have some fun.
With your host,
Dave Harvey.
the show that brings families together to battle for cash,
$20,000.
and cars.
They driving out of here in a brand new car.
The one and only Family Feud, weeknights at 8. Then stay tuned for 7 News at 9 with Johnny and Thompson and Ryan Schulteis. And 7 News at 10 and 11 with Ken Casey and Adam Williams. It all starts weeknights at 8 on Channel 7. It's summer, but 7 isn't taking time off. Turn to us to keep you informed and entertained. Every night at 7:30, it's Extra.
What's up, Boston? We got brand new episodes for you all summer.
At 8, laugh it up with back-to-back episodes of Family Feud.
The only place to watch in prime time is Channel 7.
And at 9, 2.5 hours of 7 News.
It's all now from the night team.
Live every single night. All summer long. It's prime time to watch 7. This is a 7 News special. An eye on the eclipse.
All right, you've been with us all afternoon here as we've been keeping a close eye on the eclipse moving across the country. There it is here in Boston. We're moving out of our partial eclipse at about 2:46. We were 63% covered there of the sun, and we've been slowly moving out of there, and the clouds kind of creeping by, making for a unique picture.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look like it typically does at 11 minutes past 3 in the afternoon. And this phenomenon for us will last until about 4 o'clock. Of course, the news station is on day and night, and we, for those of you who didn't get to see everything, we will take it from the top. As they say, at 4 o'clock, but we're going to hang with this just a little bit longer. JR's been viewing from atop, there you go, atop our studios, right in Government Center, and even with the tall buildings, you had a beautiful view with the help of our photographer, Mr. Moon.
Right, yeah, you can't make that stuff up. He's really the one that's been shooting the eclipse here in Boston. So you got me over here, but on the left-hand side of your screen, the better half, that's where you're seeing the eclipse. And there he is down there. His last name Moon, can't make that up. He's been shooting the eclipse all afternoon. Now he's got a special filter even on his camera that allows him to do that. I mean, that's how bright, that's how intense the sun is. That, you know, even with your iPhones or your television cameras, you still need to filter out the immense amount of light. Even with 63% of the sun blocked by the moon, you still have to filter off the remaining light, and that's what he's been doing there. Doing a great job. Appreciate that. And that's what the solar filters do as well. What a day, though. I mean, in terms of, you know, Kim and Ryan talked about this, a sense of community, you know, a sense of, you know, unity. And, you know, being a scientist, it's outstanding. I mean, think of all the kids going back to school in the coming days and weeks that now have a little, you know, inspiration going into the science class. And the teachers will probably pick it up and start, run with it for the first week or two. I know that our daughter goes back to school in about 10 days, and they had a, you know, a parent-teacher preview, and the science teacher said she's going to start with astronomy. Outstanding choice. I mean, you're coming off the heels of the total solar eclipse in the United States, the first one since 1979, the first one that really was this expansive in close to 100 years. You have to go back to 1918 before you find an eclipse of, you know, that included everybody in the United States. I mean, even Alaska and Hawaii were able to tap into this eclipse this afternoon. And yes, here in Boston, not totality, but not too shabby either, at about 63%. So as I put these filters back on, we still have it happening, but you can clearly see that the moon has come in from right, and now we'll exit stage left here in the next 30 to 45 minutes. In terms of the weather, I did notice a drop-off in temperature in the sun. I mean, I heard Breeze report up on Blue Hill, and they thought maybe, you know, it might have dipped half a degree. And in a shaded temperature box, that makes sense. But when you're out in direct sunlight, and then you take half of the sun's energy away out of direct sunlight, you're going to feel it. And I did notice when I first got here at 1:30, you know, I was sweating profusely. And then about 2:15, 2:30, I'm like, wow, actually, it's not too bad. It's all right. Maybe we've lost 5 or 6 degrees off of the roof temperature here, which is different than, you know, a shelter temperature, which is what you see on our weather maps. Those are sheltered temperature. Now, in terms of the daylight, that also dropped off dramatically. I mean, it never got to complete darkness. It never got into totality. But it certainly had that late afternoon or that early evening feel when you looked out over and across Government Center. It did remind me of the last time I had a solar eclipse. That was May of 1994 out in Minnesota. It just had that feel of you were wearing, you know, sunglasses. And of course, you didn't have them on. I don't mean the filters. I just mean with the naked eye when you're looking, you know, horizontally across to the plane, noticing the drop-off in daylight. But now that's going to change, and that will start to ramp back up and the temperature might come up a little bit, although now that we're getting to the second half of the afternoon, the sun in general not as intense as it was at 1:30 this afternoon. But what a sight for southern New England. Hopefully everyone is able to enjoy it. Receiving a number of fantastic tweets, how you folks were watching it, and would love to see some more. And we'll continue the conversation throughout the evening newscast here on 7 News.
And, yes. And JR, we did really luck out with the weather, didn't we? I mean, we saw a few clouds go by, but overall, what a beautiful day.
No, you're right. You're totally right. I mean, New England can be finicky. I think, the safest area for this would have been in the, out in the Northwest, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Nebraska. But then as you get to the center part of the nation and the East Coast, sometimes you can run into a rainy day or a clump of thunderstorms. And we have seen, our fair share of rain this summer. This is not like last summer with the drought. This summer is back to normal, where every so often you're running into some rainy days. And, thankfully today it worked out just fine here in southern New England. There were at times some thick clouds, too thick, that did block out the whole event. But it wasn't a completely overcast afternoon. That's the good news there.
Yes, I love what you mentioned also about schools going back in session. Kids are going back now, and boy, science class will be where it's at.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the STEM initiative, science and technology and math and engineering. I mean, this is, as a father of a little girl too, it's great to, get the girls into science too. Boys and girls, get them all in there to the science because, as we heard the professor saying earlier, you just learn so much about our universe and our galaxy and our solar system and how things work. And so often you'll hear kids, including mine, say, "Why do I ever have to use math and all that stuff?" Math is what made today happen, really, because math calculations allowed us to say, at precisely this time, this will be the eclipse, and that'll be the percentage of it. So it was more finite than some of our weather forecasts, where you talk snow and it rains. I mean, there was no getting around this one. We knew this was going to happen. It was just a matter of making sure the clouds didn't crash the party.
Well, good job up there, JR, keeping track of all this for us. Really appreciate that. Great perspective from up there.
Yes, and this party continues for Boston until about 3:58. We're keeping our camera on that beautiful sun, watching the moon make its exit, and we'll make a quick exit and re-enter in a couple of minutes. Stay with us.
Wedding ring wrong.
It kept breaking.
He called Solve at 7.
They wanted to handle the situation.
Lost luggage.
My bag never left Vegas.
She called Solve at 7.
I'm very happy with the results.
Driveway dilemma.
Everybody's going to get back to me, and nothing happened.
He called Solve at 7.
And they took it from beginning to end.
Got a problem?
Call Solve at 7.
7 will